We're still doing our series that we've been doing called Effective Relationships. And this is either going to be the last lesson. I may or may not do one more. I thought, well, I've got one more, but then the ladies will be gone, and then I'm going to be gone, so maybe I should finish it this week. Maybe I'll find something very testosterone-laden for next Sunday, and it'll be fine. But anyway, today is an important one, and this one could be the closer, but I'll leave you in suspense until next week, which means I don't know what I'm doing yet. All right? So, for relationships to be sustainable, and that's what we're talking about today, is sustainable relationships. We must learn to work through issues, because it's one thing, this is what I call the salesman personality. They're very influential, they can sell you, they can get you worked up into an emotional frenzy, and they have phrases that they've learned and skills that they built to make them seem trustworthy, but you only have to trust them until the sale is done, and then you never see the salesperson again. I remember one time I was trying to buy a car and got the salesperson. I wasn't really crazy about them, and Noah was like, why are you even putting up with them? There's so many other dealerships out there, many other individuals out there. Why are you doing it? I'm like, you deal with the salesman about one day, just a few hours, and then you never see him again. If the deal's right, I can put up with the salesman, for this, that, or the other thing. And that was kind of my philosophy. But relationships don't work that way, do they? Sales relationships may last a few minutes to a few hours to a few days, but real relationships have to be built on real trust, not just superimposed trust, not just superimposed personality, not superimposed, I'm looking out for your best interest, even though I get a big commission off of this, right? So in real relationships, there's got to be something to make it sustainable. Now, there's a lot of things that we could talk about that make relationships sustainable. But I want to talk about one that absolutely, if you don't have it, absolutely the relationship will not be sustainable, okay? And it's a topic I try to hit at least once a year because I think it's one that every person, Christian and non-Christian, needs to hear over and over and over again. So I try to hit the same topic from different angles. And I'm going to tell you what that is. It is forgiveness. Forgiveness must be a part of every sustainable relationship. For several reasons. And we're going to talk about the difference between decision forgiveness and emotional forgiveness. But for now, let's just assume emotions are a part of your close relationships, right? And they are. How we feel towards someone affects how we interact with them. Can we agree on that? Okay, so how do we get emotional healing after there's been some kind of disruption, some kind of problem, some kind of hurt in a relationship? The greatest barrier to emotional healing is usually a lack of forgiveness. So emotional healing includes the healing of social relationships. We're called to be ministers of reconciliation. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, starting in verse 18, says this: all this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. Did you know that you've been given a ministry? That makes you a minister, right? You've been given a ministry. And that ministry is at least reconciliation. That God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them. And he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us.